So I'm short the alt market. I'm short the alt market in my paper account, and I'm short in my live account on KuCoin. Let's take a look. Here's my paper account. I'll show you just to prove it that I have risk on. You can see trades on in my KuCoin account. I'm not going to load it on the computer. I'm floating some profits. I ended up giving back a lot of profits that I had on the longs. And I'm going to get into this. So this is a discretionary trade. I don't have a computer model to back it, but I've been in this space long enough to think it's a pretty good trade and to have a plan for it. So let's get into it. There's a lot of things that I'm going to look at, but the setup that I like is an is a failure at all-time highs. So we have that on. Yeah, I mean, there's setup, but there's a lot of different confluences we're looking at. Again, this is discretionary, and I know I've been preaching to you guys that everything needs to be computer modeled, but um, I've been trading a long time and seen a lot of things, and I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's something that I do want to try. Of course, we have a stop loss in case things don't work out, but the setup, we see it on OM. We see a failure at all-time highs on COSPA. We see a failure of all-time highs on Flocky. Those are the main ones I'm taking trades on. We also see it on TON. I'm taking it on TON as well. This one I'm not taking in my paper account, or I'm not taking this one in my live account because it was showing relative strength. And then BNB, we're also seeing a failure at all-time highs. BNB, I was long, and one of the reasons I flipped short is because this doesn't happen in a healthy market, right? What's wrong here? It's supposed to, if something breaks out, from all-time highs, it's supposed to trend higher. And it might reclaim that and do that, but this isn't what happens in a healthy market. So we see this all-time high failure pattern. We're gonna go through a bunch of charts and I'm gonna show you some things. So what these charts are reminding me of right now is what Bitcoin looked like right here. Um, Failure at all-time highs, right? We've been here, we've seen this. What happens next? Slow bleed out. Had a pretty big rally here though, but um, that's what happened. And then we also saw that again here. We saw a version of it here, a couple versions of it here, and we're actually potentially seeing that on Bitcoin here. I don't want to short Bitcoin ever because it's just way stronger than the others. But doesn't this look familiar? So I'm also reminded of GMT. Haven't looked at this one in forever. I never recovered on the daily. Yeah, that thing went quick. I'm reminded of this as well. So failure at an all-time high on a scam asset, right? To me, cryptos are a scam. How many coins are there in the universe now? There are here there's 100 on the page. 101 out of 10,000. So 10,000 times 100, add a couple more zeros. What, we have 1 million projects now that are listed on CoinMarketCap. So it's way oversaturated. There's no use cases hardly. There's a little use case. Bitcoin's decentralized money, and ETH is an online casino. Most of these are just scam coins. So, and a lot of them die and they never come back. So, if we believe this, how do we short the alt market? Well, I'm actually interested in theory, you want to short the weak ones. but I'm interested in actually selling at highs rather than doing serious trend following at lows. And the reason why is volume liquidity is one thing, but I want to enter when there's likely to be heavy profit taking coming. So when there's an all-time high that fails, there's a lot of people that are long and will start to sell out and can cause really rapid declines. And failure from the all-time highs, in my mind, it works a little bit better than shorting something that's super weak already. It also gives clear invalidation, but that's just my idea, right? So let's look at the alt market a little bit wider and the crypto market. I'm not a huge trend line guy, but I know they're really powerful and we have one. It's been my thesis that the altcoin market cap wouldn't necessarily make a new all-time high this cycle. I don't see why it should or why it has to. 2020 was insanity, and 2021 was insanity and doesn't have to repeat. So we've had a lot of parabolic moves. I've heard people at the farmers market talking about how much money they made. I'm not saying, hey, this has got to be a top, but it might be. It might be. Does it look like what most tops look like? Not really. It looks a little weird, but um, it could be how it goes too, of kind of sideways bleed out. So I also started to look at some old other charts, and what I noticed is I'm mostly looking at the stronger charts. There's a number of coins that actually topped back in March and are just totally totally died off. These ones all topped in March. This one topped in April. So let's look at what the setup looked like. Um, so I mean it's tough because at what point, which all-time high breakout do you failure do you sell, right? Because we had um, one that started to happen here, but then price pushed up. This one, I mean, that's the one, or down here, right? Um, but when I see that, hey, this has been working for the past couple months, and it's probably going to repeat with whatever's hot right now. Um, this one didn't quite make it. Yeah, look at the alt market. All these topped in April. I'm on the daily right now. April, March, May. So there's going to be some that top in June. And you might say, well, they're stronger. Why do you want to sell the strongest one? And my answer to that is it's just rotation. I'm not shorting the strongest one. I'm shorting the one that is hot right now that has bag holders that are looking to unload profits. And I want to front run their profit taking. So, yeah, I want to sell at all-time highs, ideally. Sell failures at all-time highs. Go back in history. Wow, Rose had this push up in 2022, right? It didn't end up being the best ever, but there's a small move here. And then when we failed down here, there's a trend following move that just carried you so far down. So I'm interested in something like that. Now, before we go back to the charts, I want to look at the stock market because I have something I want to show you. Yeah, these guys topped in March, actually topped November, topped in March. It just looks like the air's, these are the strong ones too. It looks like the air is coming out of the altcoin market, potentially. Even Bitcoin is a little bit weak. So now let's look at the stock market. So something interesting that I noticed about the stock market Well, first off, gold has also had a failure at the all-time high, and I don't want to short gold, but it stopped trending upwards for now. It had an insane move, which was not normal. A move like this happens, but it's not all the time. So it's interesting to look at the stock market where the Nasdaq is at all-time highs. S&P 500 is at all-time highs, but we don't have breadth. The Russell is weak, okay? So what we want for a really strong market is to have breadth across stocks. We don't even have breadth across indices. US 30 failed at the all-time high. All-time high is a good place to buy it, or it's a good place to sell. So US 30 made it to it did make it to 40,000, sold off from there. The European stock market, it's going sideways. It's not that it's super weak, but I'm saying we don't have breadth across the markets. So it makes me think we could see weakness across the board. Now, let me show you. I haven't looked at M2 money supply in a while. I'm curious. Okay, it's starting to go up again. But all this rally has happened. A lot of the rally has happened with the money supply going down, which is like, where's the money coming from? So now let's go back to the actual trades that I'm in, which appear to be working right now. I think I might actually add a little bit to them. I'd rather add to them earlier than later, but um, cause Flocky. Om's my big position. Perp. I'm gonna add to it. I have a lot of more confidence coming in on this quantity. I'll add just 2,000 to it. And I like what Flocky's doing. We're close to this wick, which I don't love, but Ton's interesting. So I'm okay with that for now. Now, I'll show you my plan. I don't have an exact TP, but my idea is if this is the top, it should not only come to the low of this consolidation, but eventually bleed down here. I don't need to hold all the way down there, but I can if I want to. So I'm just going to set my TP really far away. Um, Same concept here. If this is really the high, then not only will we take these lows, there could be a large rally from these lows though. Yeah, I kind of like closing here, and then I'm gonna would rotate my capital into something else. Maybe something else will be showing the same signal. But if this is the top, we would not only take these lows, but we would come down further. Same thing here. Now, one thing I'm looking at is how long would this trade maybe take? So potentially from this high to this low, took 76 days, and from this high to this low, took 45 days. So I'm looking at a possibility, if I don't get stopped out, of holding this trade for several months potentially. Um, and you can see I marked in my chart, I have a plan to advance my stop and add, continue, have some clear areas on my chart of, okay, if this happens, I'm going to add an advance more aggressively. Um, yeah, what was another one that I saw that made me think, huh, this market looks like something's wrong. This one high. The fuck happened here? This was crazy, right? This was a sign right there. That wick, that could have been a that could have been a sell like that, possibly. But yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on the alt universe, but also just live my life outside of the charts. But um, it might not work, and what's gonna happen if it doesn't work is I'm gonna take stops and keep on living my life. So I'm not married to this idea. I like it, and the initial price action is confirming it, and it's the markets have been weak for a while. I'll also say one other factor is if you look at historically when the Fed cuts rates, a lot of the time the market actually dumps because it priced it in so far in advance. I think the first rate cut might be Wednesday. What are the expectations? Okay. Fed to cut rates in September, so maybe they think they're actually not going to cut. Um, okay, okay. So there's no rate cut expected. All right. Okay, so that's the trade. This isn't an invitation to follow me. It's not computer back tested. It's discretionary, but that's all my reasoning. And um, yeah, setups, more setups. I'm not gonna just add an advance to these, but if I see more setups that look like this in the coming months, we'll maybe take them. So, happy trading, much love, peace.